Okay, we want to update this before we work any more on it. So we want to go from version 1.1 to 2.0. So how do we do that? Well, step one is actually going into one of the projects right here. So I'll right click my project and I'll say properties all the way in the bottom. There we go. Now this guy will pop up, a window looking something like this, where we can see application at the top, we can see build, and there's some other settings that we can look at later. Right now we want to go to the application tab, and we want to go to the target framework, which is going to change from .NET Core 1.1 to .NET Core 2.0. Now when I click select another framework, if you didn't see that, let me just try and do it again. I click this guy and I say install other framework. It actually pops up in Edge, and you can just copy the link to another browser if you want to. I'm satisfied with Edge right now. And here I can select now to download .NET Core 2.0 runtime. That's the one we want to use now. So in here there's actually a few choices. We are going to go for the SDK installer. The runtime installer, that's not what we want. We don't want only the runtime, we actually want the SDK, which is the development toolkit. So we can start really building these applications here in the .NET Core framework. So when I click this 64-bit for my case, maybe 32 for your case, depending on your system, I actually just need to click it and run it. And now we're going to actually start installing .NET Core on Windows. The installation is done. It pops up with a beautiful screen like this. Do you want to install the new SDK? And I say yes. And I allow you to install it on my machine, of course. Thank you, Windows. The installation is now done. That took a bit of time, and then I close this down. So now if I go back to my project and I go to the drop down, there's still nothing here. So let's try and restart Visual Studio and see if that can help me. So I've restarted Visual Studio, and now if you go back to the right-clicking this guy and saying properties once more if you want to, now you can actually select a new target platform, which is going to be 2.0 instead of the old one, which was 1.1. So I'll do it for this one, and then I'll go to the next guy. I'll say properties, the next project here, and I'll select 2.0 for this guy as well. Save that. I'll go to the next guy. I'll say properties. So I'm just doing it for all my open projects in the current solution, because when I update one, I want to update them all. That's it for actually updating the actual .NET Core framework. Let's see if our application can actually run now with the new framework. That's something you need to test, of course, because it might not even run anymore after we made this change. So right now our application is pretty simple, so it shouldn't be a problem. But let's see what happens. Maybe we need to also update the .NET Core framework. Let's see what happens here. It actually accepted everything and we are up and running. But I also want to update the .NET Core framework. So that's the final thing for this video. I go into the data access layer, I go into my Nougat packages here, and I can right click, oh let me just zoom by the way, I can right click the package, right like this, and I can say manage Nougat packages, because now we want to do an update of the .NET framework as well in memory. So I'll press this guy and it says there's actually an update available, right? So I'm selecting installed, this guy, there's an update available, and I'll just say update. And hopefully now it won't break, it'll actually accept it. It explains everything it's going to update for me, and I say go for it. And let's see if something goes wrong here. Down here you'll see that it starts updating the packages, and I'll accept all of this beautifulness. Updating, and seem to be installed, and now we're actually on the latest version of the .NET Core framework as well. Yay! So now that's inside memory for the NT Framework Core in memory and for the .NET Core framework. So that's all we had to do for the Windows. Now we're up to date, and next lesson let's try and get this into Git. See you next time.